Ready, set, cook! The culinary challenge of the century is on. Get your chef to create epic meals to dazzle celebrities in Critic Kitchen.
And today we'll be teaching you how to play Critic Kitchen and the a la carte expansion, game designed by Alex Cutler and Peter C. Hayward, published by Cardboard Alchemy with art by Sandara Tang.
And hello everyone, it's Stella!
And Taryn from Meeple University.
And hey, if you enjoyed this video after watching, you really help us by like, subscribe and let us know what you think in the comments. That seriously will help us to bring more videos. Alright, now let's get to the classroom.
In Critic Kitchen, players are critic chefs running their own restaurants in the hopes of pleasing the crowds and the critics and gaining the most stars. Over 7 rounds of play, players will choose the locations where they'll send their chefs for ingredients, but will do so simultaneously, not knowing whether there'll be competition for those ingredients or not. They'll use what they collect to complete 2 sets of challenge rounds and a final meal for the critic, and whoever earns the most stars will be the winner. To set up, lay out the main board with the round marker at 1, hold marker on round 3, and allspice on round 7. Find all of the location boards. You'll always use the 2 larger ones, Soup Truck and Chef Academy, and the Midnight Merchant. Among the other smaller ones, use only the ones up to and including your player count. So in a 4-player game, we would use these 4 boards. Then lay them out from Soup Truck, then the numbered boards in number order, finishing with Midnight Merchant and Chef Academy. Use the reverse sides of those last 2 in a 2-player game. To set up the various ingredients, make separate supplies of soup and bisque, and mix all tiles of this shape, both the ingredients and the rumours, in the bag. Give each player a player board and the matching coloured deck of location cards, 3 chefs, small, medium and large, the chef's hat, a set of 4 plates and 1 soup. Also take and set up your coloured screen. You'll always keep your plates and ingredients behind the screen throughout the game, while everything else stays visible. Sort through your location cards and remove any cards which correspond to locations not in the game. Then take all players' hats and randomise their positions on the tiebreak track. Shuffle these 5 decks: challengers, critics, rumours, restaurateurs and zoo chefs. For the challengers, deal 1 face down into each of these 6 slots, returning the 7th to the box unseen and flipping round 1's card face up. These cards are scoring challenges which you'll resolve at the ends of round 3 and 6 respectively. Place 1 critic face up in the critic slot, and for your first game you can use the mouse. And deal a rumour face down into each of these 3 slots. Return leftovers from both decks to the box. These represent 1 known and 3 unknown objectives which players will try to score at the end of the 7th round. For a simpler game, use only the basic rumours by removing rumour cards where the waiter is holding an orange cloth. For the restaurateur cards, deal 2 to each player, and the players look at them and choose 1 they wish to keep. These are individual player powers you can use throughout the game, and may also score you some points. You can choose not to use these for your first game if you wish. Keep all the Zoo Chef cards and their matching tokens near the Chef Academy board. Finally, choose a player to take the Maitre D card. This includes some helpful information for how to score and how to set up the round. This card is a player aid with no other in-game effect. You're now ready to play. Critic Kitchen is played over 7 rounds, and in each round players will be sending their 3 chefs out to the locations, fighting to gather either the best, or perhaps the most, ingredients. The aim of the game is to collect stars, and there are 3 opportunities to do this. After rounds 3 and 6, players will have the chance to prepare challenge meals. spending their ingredients to meet the different requirements which will come out from the challenge cards round by round. Then after the 7th round is complete, players will try to make the best possible 7-course dish they can to wow the critic, meeting a variety of objectives. In this video, we'll first take you through the process of playing around to gather ingredients before coming back at the end of the video to explain how the 2 different types of scoring rounds work. To set up a round, follow the steps on the Meta D card. Firstly, reveal the current round's challenge card. And if you're in round 3 or 6, you'll place this hold token over the rightmost icon on that card. We'll see the implications of that later on. Secondly, restock the soup truck. That means to place 1 bisque token on this space if that space is empty. You should also keep the general supply of 1-point soup tokens over here near the soup truck, since the truck has an infinite amount of soup. Next, you'll restock items. Across all spaces on all boards showing this shape, draw and place tiles from the bag. Such tiles will include standard ingredients, spices, and rumours. In the 2-player game, you fill these 2 spaces on the Chef Academy, but in no case should you fill the infinite slot or the question mark slots at the Midnight Merchant. Finally, at the Chef Academy, reveal a new Zoo Chef card into this slot and place it standee. All players now simultaneously decide where they'll be sending their 3 chefs this round, and you'll do this using your location cards. You have 1 card corresponding to each location in the game, and you look through these cards and choose 1 to place face down into each of your 3 action slots, leaving the rest in hand. Once everyone is chosen, players reveal their cards and move their workers to their slots of the location. So here my small worker goes to the small worker slot of the Academy. My medium worker goes to its slot of the water market. My large worker goes to the large slot of the Midnight Merchant. Multiple players will end up in the same location and even in the same slot. Now resolve each location, starting from the soup truck and going from left to right. In each location, your action will be to collect items from that tile, and the number of items you can take depends on the size of your worker. Your mouse can carry only 1 item, your lizard can carry 2, and your boar can carry 3. Where there are multiple workers of different sizes in one location, the small worker is faster and claims first. Larger workers claim later and take from only what's left. So here in the soup truck, the yellow boar would claim 3 items, the high-value bisque, and then 2 of the standard soup. Return the worker to your player board as soon as it is carrying its full capacity. Here in the garden top shop, purple would choose any 1 of these 3 ingredients, returning home with it, leaving these 2 for the blue lizard. At the desert vendor, yellow would choose 2 of these 3 ingredients and return home, leaving only this single ingredient for red. As soon as there are no more items available on a tile, all remaining chefs there return home with whatever they have. If multiple workers occupy the same slot at the same location, then they will resolve choices in priority order. This begins with rightmost on this arrow, and the tied chefs will go back and forward 1 ingredient at a time until no more can be taken. So at the water market, yellow is ahead on this track, so yellow would pick first. Then red would go, leaving the leftovers for purple. Then you change the priority order. Any time a player uses the tie-break to go first at a location, that player's hat moves all the way to the end of the queue. So in this case, yellow moves to the end. Then for the example here at the air docks, blue would pick first for being smallest. And then it's a tie between purple and red, with purple further ahead on priority. To resolve this, purple would choose first, then red, then purple again, at capacity and going home, before the location is out of items for red, who goes home as well. In this case, purple does not move to the back of the priority queue. If we look at everyone who resolved at the air docks, blue was the first to resolve overall. You only move to the back of this queue if you picked first overall as the result of a tie. So for these 3 workers choosing, no one changes. However, if that blue small worker weren't there, purple would have chosen first overall and therefore moved to the very back. In any location, if you don't like your options or have no options at all, your worker can return to your kitchen with a single consolation soup from the soup truck. It's unlikely that you'll do this at the soup truck itself, since your worker can usually carry more than just that one soup. But in all other cases, this will often be your best option. Here, red and then purple would take all of the available items, which means yellow gets nothing from the top shop and picks up a consolation soup along the way. In the case like this, yellow could take the mushrooms and then red could decide that these items aren't helpful, voluntarily leaving the location empty-handed and again collecting a consolation soup. There are 2 other special locations. When the time comes to resolve the Midnight Merchant, only then do you fill all of its slots from the bag. Players now pick their items from there in the usual way. That means you don't quite know what you're going to get when you choose the Midnight Merchant, but what you get could be lucrative. The other special location is the Chef Academy, a place for training new critter chefs. In round setup, you placed 1 new zoo chef in training in this location. You also added 2 items if you're playing the 2-player game. Furthermore, after you finish resolving any location, if there are ingredients left in that location, those are moved to the infinite slot of the Chef Academy. There's no sense wasting them when they could be used for training purposes. This applies to any ingredients tokens of this shape, including spices, left over in another location, but does not apply to rumours. Any unclaimed rumours are returned to the bag. When taking your turn at the Chef Academy, as usual, you claim a number of items based on the size of your chef, and those items can include the ingredients or the zoo chef. This, for example, would be a claim of 2 items that this lizard chef could take. Your zoo chef will give you a 4th worker which you must use in the next round. This worker has a size, small, medium or large, just like any other, and you will assign one of your location cards to the zoo chef along with your regular workers. Additionally, each zoo chef has a special power which resolves either before everyone plays, or before you play, or after you play at that chef's location. Zoo chefs last a single round and are discarded after use. Once the Chef Academy has been resolved, it's the end of the round. Return all played location cards to hand. The full suite will be available again. Clean up the Chef Academy. An unclaimed zoo chef is simply removed from the game, and unspent ingredients are donated to the soup truck into this infinite slot, where they'll be available to take on future rounds in addition to the bisque and normal soup. Do note that unlike the other locations, these ingredients are not then pushed back to the Chef Academy once the soup truck has been resolved. They will remain there forever. If it's currently round 3 or 6, this is when you'll resolve a challenge, otherwise advance to the next round. Any ingredients, including soup and spices that you collect, should be stored behind your player screen. The other thing you can collect is a rumour. When you get one of these, place it permanently onto its matching space. Or if you select a wild, choose any one of your empty spaces. Note the symbol, and you may now look at the rumour card in the matching slot. This tells you an end of game scoring objective and gives you some direction to move towards. Since you keep the token, you can go back and re-look at that as many times as you want if you forget the specifics of how it works. If you already have a specific roommate, you're not allowed to choose to take that token again. You must leave it in the locations for someone else to take. If you ever reach the point where all players have seen a given rumour, then you can simply flip it face up, and any subsequent time that rumour is drawn from the bag, discard it and draw another. So, how do we turn our collected ingredients into stars? The first way is through challenge meals, and this occurs after round 3 and round 6. You'll see a new challenge meal objective appear at the start of each round, and this will give you a combination of 3 of the game's 7 ingredients that you'll want to serve up together. The exception is the card revealed in rounds 3 and 6. When you advance to round 3 or 6, you'll flip this card over, but then cover up the rightmost ingredient with this token. That means this challenge meal requires only 2 of the 7 ingredients instead of 3. Simultaneously and behind their screens, players now figure out how they're going to assign ingredients to complete these challenges. And do note that challenges are optional. You don't have to plate anything for a challenge if you don't want to. The simplest way to meet the challenge is to place 1 or more tokens, matching each of the ingredient types in the challenge. So here my comfort food challenge could be 1 meat, 1 wine, and 2 bread tokens. This would be a complete meal matching the requirements with a quality value equal to the sum of the numbers, so 17. You can increase the quality of an ingredient by pairing it with a matching spice token. This will double that token. So for street eats, I could start with a 6 value carrot and a 5 value meat, and pair a carrot with a carrot spice token to make that stack value 12. There are spice tokens for each ingredient type, as well as this one, the wild allspice token. So I could assign that to the meat to make that stack value 10 as well. A total for street eats of 22. Spice enhances an individual token, not a token stack. This would be 15 worth of cheese, not 18. You can also use soup, including bisque, as an enhancement or substitute in any challenge meal. As an enhancement, simply add the soup. I could put this soup token here to increase the quality of this dish from 17 to 18. And I could do this any number of times. Soup could also be a substitute. For tasty tapas, I have the mushrooms and I have the carrots, but I have no bread. But I could substitute the bread with any one soup or bisque token. I now have a valid tasty tapas of value 12. You can substitute more than one ingredient if you wish. This would be a valid quality 9 tasty tapas, but you're not allowed to substitute the entire dish. This would not be valid. Once you've optimized how you'll meet the challenges, reveal your challenge plates. All your remaining ingredients can stay behind your screen. Now gain stars for each dish you've plated. A dish with quality between 6 and 11 scores 1 star. Between 12 and 20 scores 2, and anything above 21 scores 4. Now discard all of the ingredients that you used in the challenge meals. Discards of this shape go straight back into the bag, and discards of any other shape are returned to their suppliers. Then resolve the refrigerator. In round 3, this has a maximum capacity of 5, meaning you can retain a maximum of 5 standard ingredient tokens, including spice. Here I'd need to discard 1 token. Soup does not count towards your refrigeration limit. You can carry as much soup forward in addition to your standard 5. You then proceed to round 4. The 6 rounds challenge meals work in exactly the same way, except your refrigerator capacity has increased to 10. After the second set of challenge meals, you'll play the 7th and final round. The only difference in this round is you don't place a sous chef in the academy, you instead place an allspice token, which will, as usual, be joined by all the leftovers for players to take. After the 7th round, proceed to final scoring, which resolves in these 7 steps. Again, secretly and simultaneously, players choose which ingredients they'll put on the plate. But this time you can't make stacks. You can only choose a single ingredient token matching each type, and a single spice token if you have one. This rule could be altered by the special effect on the Critic card. For example, the mouse lets you play any amount of cheese that you wish, but otherwise your limit is strictly a single ingredient and a single matching spice. You are no longer allowed to enhance or substitute with soup. In this case, I have no mushrooms. I will simply serve no mushrooms. All players now reveal. Now score stars. First is most soup. Count up all of your leftover soup, and the player or players with the most value of soup gain 1 star. Next, any player with at least 1 ingredient token in all 7 courses gains a star. So this dish would not qualify since it's lacking mushroom, but this one would score a star. Next, score the best of each course. Separately, players will add up and compare their values on each of the 7 ingredients, and whoever has the highest in each ingredient gains a star. For bread, this player's 6 would score a star versus the 5 and 3. For carrots, this player's 12, 6 with a spice, beats the 7 and 0. And if there's a tie, all tied players gain the stars. Here, 2 7 cheeses, both getting a star over this 3. Continue until all 7 ingredients are resolved. Next, reveal and score all of the rumours. The black bordered rumours will be some objective which gives you a specific way of scoring based on the numbers on your final plate. Red banded ones have an effect which will come in the final scoring step. Next, score bonus scores. That's anything with this icon and includes the points at the top of your restaurateur card and effects on some specific critics. And lastly, add up your final score, which means to add up the qualities of all of the ingredients in that final critic meal and score stars based on the row. In this case here, I score 3 for the bread, 12 for the carrots, 7 for cheese, 14 for fish, 3 for meat, and 4 for wine. This is also where red banded rumours come into play. This rumour doubled the value of fish, so I'd get another 14. Gain stars equal to your final row, and if your dish does exceed 70, then take 10 stars and keep counting from the top again. The player with the most stars wins, and if tied, priority track breaks the tie. The a la carte expansion adds 3 modules to play: the new cards, the carts, and the ability to play at 6 or 7 players. The new cards give you new critics, restaurateurs, and sous chefs which you can use instead of, or shuffle in with the base game cards. Just note that the chefs with the knife icon are a little bit more aggressive in terms of how they interact between the players, so you can either add them or remove them depending on your preference of play. The carts module introduces 18 modular carts, and you'll use a combination of these to add variety to your gameplay. In setup, you'll pick 3 carts or randomize them from the cart deck. The only restriction being that Zoo 2 is available only at 3 or more players. Having picked your carts, place one randomly below each of the Garden Top Shop, Desert Vendor and Water Market. Place their rule cards alongside, and find and prepare the components unique to each of those carts. Most of the components which come with this expansion belong to a single specific cart, and so you'll be leaving quite a lot of material in the box. I won't take you through how each individual cart works. All of the rules are listed on their cards, but in general, most of them will work in a similar way. During setup for each round, you'll usually also place 1 or more tokens from that cart stack onto the cart. And unless otherwise stated in that cart's rules, this represents another item which can be taken from that location by a chef who is sent there. So, for example here, yellow's turn could involve taking this standard bread and this gelato token. When the time comes to stock the Chef Academy in each round, leftover items on carts are not transferred across. They are instead discarded, which does in most cases mean removing it from the game entirely, rather than returning it to its supply. How and when you use the cart components for points depends on the component. Gelato, for example, is served as an extra course to the Critic. Dumplings will enhance your soup tokens in challenges. Organic ingredients are the highest value of all, but are more restricted. While balloons are collected in sets and scored in the end of game bonus stage. But as a standard rule, if the component is blue, then you can store it between challenges but must store it in your refrigerator. If the component is pink, then you can store it between challenges without refrigerating, but that token always is public. Players can see when you have it and you don't hide it behind your screen. And anything that's orange has unique rules, check on the card. There's also the Zoo 2 cart, and this provides another Zoo Chef for hire for the next round. And collecting and using a Zoo Chef from here works just like at the Chef Academy. This could let you hire 2 Zoo Chefs in the same round. Finally, a la carte has components for playing the game at 6 or 7 players. In the 6-player game, use the 4-player setup of boards, and in the 7-player game, use the 5-player setup. In both player counts, you must use the Zoo 2 cart at the Garden Top Shop, whether you choose to use 2 other carts or not. This will definitely give more players the chance to collect Zoo Chefs each round. At both 6 and 7 players, add these extra ingredients, spice and rumour tokens to the bag. You can distinguish these from the ones in the base game by the white border around the outside, and this is purely for the ease of removing these tokens when you later play a game at 5 or fewer players. Within the game, the boarded and non-boarded tokens behave exactly the same. The core difference when playing at 6 or 7 players is that one of your chefs is not going to go out to the locations during each round. Instead, you must pick one of your chefs to be on break, using the break time card. To begin each round, one player rolls the mystery die. This roll applies to all players and is done before the worker locations are chosen. Upon revealing, any player who placed the matching sized standard worker on break collects 2 standard soup, regardless of the size of that worker. You can think of this as making soup, not carrying it. If you place a differently sized worker on break, that worker gets nothing. Do note you cannot place a Zoo Chef on break, nor would you want to, since because of its power, the Zoo Chef is strictly better than the same size standard worker. If when you reveal the cards you've forgotten to place anyone on break, then you must place the worker on break matching the die. This will give you the soup bonus as usual.
Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, maybe you'd like to watch this next one. Have a great day, bye!